when we went and we had a basement under those same 3 rooms that were across the front of the house, are still there. We had a basement. It was divided into 1 room on the driveway side, and then a larger room for the rest of it. Now, under the floor of this middle room that you enter from the porch, from today's porch, the logs are just like one next to the other, and the basement is deep. We were told, and it looks to be that you can determine that the one smaller room was a kitchen originally. It had brick floor, large bricks that were, I don't know how they were made, but they nothing like what we would find today. There was a trapdoor from the outside down into that basement, a stairway, and there was a little window that was all closed up because it was all covered over with the porch. We had a porch on 2 sides of that building. Across the front has a porch, and on the side, one side, where the driveway is, it had originally, it still has a porch, but as time went on, we, not at first, but later, we closed in the side porch because we just needed the space. But as for cabinet space, wanted cabinets in the kitchen, so I had seen a house that was had just been built from the Hilges, and it had a corner sink in it. There was something about that corner sink that appealed to me. You're washing or doing something in the sink here, and you had a counter on this side and on this side. So it was very convenient, I thought. But there was a door in that corner. The best I could figure out, I thought of all kinds of different ways I could do this. There was a window to the outside. Very often, most house plans today, or what have been done in the last years, have a window by the sink. Have a window over the sink or something. Well, that window went down rather low. Didn't know how I was going to do that. But anyway, my solution was I closed that door, and which led to the next room, and it was all the way in the corner. So I had a sink across the corner, no door there anymore, and made cabinets that way. And so, in other words, I've created cabinets that were built in on the spot had to be made on place, you know, not any cabinets that were built and brought in and put on, because everything had to be fitted as it was, because they just weren't standardized. We took out part of a wall between two of the rooms, because I'd grown up in a house where you had a living room when you come in the front door, and a dining room behind that, and the kitchen was behind that. And the dining room and the living room were open to each other, just to be have a little section of bookcases in between to mark off the difference between the two rooms. And so I decided, and my husband was entirely, in agreement with whatever I was able to work out. But we made those decisions kind of together too, But at any rate, that was the reason for my thinking. Also, it was too big to use just for an entrance. That room, in addition to having that stairway in it, also had a trapdoor to the bottom, to the large room underneath, and a stairway going down there. But there was nothing to keep a child from falling into that trapdoor if the trapdoor was open. So I was not really wanting to have it functional. It was interesting the way it was, but
dangerous.
Didn't see that as being part of how we wanted it to be a usable entry to the, and just across from the front door. So we could just close that up. And what was interesting was that this stairway was, it did not have the risers, it only had the boards that you step on, but no risers. So it was made of black walnut. Well, I had always liked black walnut in furniture, but we saw no reason we would ever be able to change that into furniture. When someone came and wanted to buy it, and we did sell it, I wish in one way that we had not, but at any rate, we did come out with a satisfactory house there for us to live in. We took out part of the wall, and that's why we know that it was all adobe brick. You could see when it was put in the sun and would have, in some cases, some of these adobe bricks had little animal prints of paws. And we had sometimes, it could, small animals could get into the basement. We didn't use the basement except for maybe putting something there that couldn't be harmed in any way. But it was interesting to see the way the house was built, like going down in there.
Sounds like it.
It's a deep basement.
This house was right next to
the big house.
Your husband's business.
Mm-hmm.
and your mother-in-law's business.
Mm-hmm. And so then we wallpapered. The walls had been wallpapered, so we re-wallpapered them. And I made curtains for the windows, and particularly in the kitchen, I know that I made the window. I chose to have a little border where we painted up a certain distance with that was painted, and then above that was wallpaper with little pots of red geraniums in a border around, and I made some appliques on the curtain, on white curtains, sheer white curtains that light could come through, but at least had curtains. So I had all these cabinets just worked out on the paper for the carpenter.